Welcome to Agenda Edina, a program summarizing the actions taken at City Hall that affect you most. I'm your host, Dorothea Marty. The city will spend nearly $5 million in federal funds through the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, this year and next. The city is expected to receive $4.9 million in federal ARPA funds and has until 2024 to spend it on 7 broad priorities. Support public health response, address the negative economic impacts caused by the pandemic, serve the hardest hit in the community, replace lost public sector revenue, provide premium pay for essential workers, invest in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure.
Well, my goals for this American Rescue Plan Act funding is really to provide as much benefit to the community as possible, and we're going to do that through funding such things as rent relief, as food relief, mental health programming, broadband services for folks that don't currently have that service, things like that that will make a difference in the community right away.
Under a plan approved by the City Council, 1,000 trees will be planted on public and private property as a mitigating response to climate change. Many of the trees will be planted in and around multifamily housing areas that lack trees. The plan also includes food aid and rental assistance as a form of direct assistance to residents in need. Financial aid will be provided directly to small businesses and the 50th in France Business and Professional Association, as well as the Edina Chamber of Commerce. HVAC improvements will be made in some city buildings and fiber connections to the city's utility facilities completed. Last year's revenue loss from the city's recreation facilities will be covered. The Edina Police Department social worker program for mental health assistance would be expanded and community health software upgraded. $500,000 has been planned to subsidize access to home broadband for residents in Comcast's Internet Essentials program to provide them better and faster service.
Within the funding recommendation that we've asked our council to approve, there is money allocated towards small business assistance. There's money allocated, as I said, to direct assistance on the lodging and food side for folks who are having trouble. But in terms of kind of rebuilding our business community, we think this $600,000 will be important because it's going to provide direct services to small businesses in the community.
About half of the money will be spent this year and the other half in 2022. A draft of Edina's first climate action plan is complete and ready to read, review, and submit comments before the end of the month. The plan includes chapters on green space and trees, local food and agriculture, water, transportation, and more. It was put together over several months by the Climate Action Plan team, made up of 16 community members with the assistance of 8 technical city staff members and facilitator Pale Blue Dot.
The city convened a group of community members to help write this plan. So this plan has been developed by residents, business owners, other community members in Edina. At the start in May, April or May, residents were invited to take a survey to better understand what their understanding of climate change was and climate action, what hopes and concerns that residents had about the future. And all of that input has been incorporated into the plan so far, and we're eager to see what residents think about this draft.
The overall plan is lengthy, but has been divided into chapters to make it easier to review and comment. You can find and review the plan at bettertogetheredina.org/climate-action-plan or visit the Edina Farmers Market on Thursday evenings to discuss with volunteers. Comments must be submitted by October 1st. Lake Cornelia has much to offer Edina residents, fishing, boating, and biking or hiking the trail that surrounds the lake. Unfortunately, in recent years, water quality has suffered. Edina TV takes you to the lake to see what's happening to clear the waters. Lake Cornelia is the largest lake in Edina and home to 41 households. Larry Olson has lived on the lake for years.
The real reason we moved here and bought this house was because of the view and the spot on the lake with the wildlife and the nature and the beauty to look at.
Despite its beauty, there's growing concern about the diminishing water quality.
Cattails do help reduce erosion.
Erica Snigowski with 9 Mile Creek Watershed District explains.
Lake Cornelia and Lake Edina are on the state's impaired waters list, and what this means is they're unhealthy, which means they have too many nutrients in them. And what we see from that typically is a result of too much phosphorus coming into these lakes.
And why is there so much phosphorus in the lakes?
The lake collects all the runoff from the Southdale area and adjacent areas, so the storm sewers feed directly into the lake, and that certainly impacts the water quality.
So grass clippings, leaves, pet waste, everything on our streets and sidewalks flows into the lake. And that's not all.
We have a lot of goldfish in Lake Cornelia, and these cause problems because they're bottom feeders. And so when they eat, they stir up bottom sediments. And that does a couple things. It makes the lake cloudy, so dirty, I would say, and it also causes this release of nutrients.
And those excess nutrients cause more algae to grow, and some of that can be toxic for people and pets. Current work is focusing on the goldfish, which started from people putting them in area waters, and now they're multiplying and growing.
It's not uncommon to see several in the 10 to 13 inch range, and those guys can easily be over a pound apiece. Roll this thing around a little bit.
Jordan Wine is an environmental scientist with WSB, an environmental engineering firm collaborating with the Watershed District. They're studying the goldfish in Lake Cornelia, gaining information that will help in reducing and managing the population.
If we're going to stop these guys from coming back, if we take some out, we started to do some sampling in potential places where little goldfish are surviving from places that they could be serving as a nursery. And then we started tracking to see if those nurseries are flushing fish into the big lakes. Okay, go.
Larry Olson is helping with this study on his shoreline.
So I've been working with a project with the 9 Mile Creek Watershed District and WSB to put a large box net out in front of my house in the lake. And I've been out here every evening between maybe 5 and 7 o'clock, dumping about 10 pounds of cracked corn in the lake to attract goldfish. And so that kind of trains them to come in every night, and then they'll feed. And then when they do the pull of the net, they'll get a good number of fish captured inside of that box net.
Pour this water out through this guy.
On this day, they didn't catch the hundreds of goldfish as was done on other days, but still, much was learned.
Well, it looks like we've got about 57 goldfish and 7 common carp.
The study will be complete and the goldfish population reduced in the fall of 2022.
And the general simple plan is do a survey in the springtime before you do your efforts to remove a bunch. And then come in after that and do the exact same thing to see if that catch per unit effort, or the number of fish you catch per hour, is lower.
While it's unrealistic to remove all the goldfish from the lake, this study will dictate how much to reduce the population and how to manage the fish. And you can do your part as well.
There's a lot of resources out there to work on water quality issues between the DNR, between watershed districts, municipalities, and even residents that just want to get together and work on projects to improve water quality for the water body that they live on. It's all good.
The 9 Mile Creek Watershed District is funding the goldfish removal project, along with grant funding from Clean Waters Fund and a Hennepin County Aquatic Invasive Species Grant. The city of Edina continues to closely monitor the spread of the novel coronavirus and is keeping those who live and work here up to date about COVID-19. Please visit edinamn.gov/coronavirus for the latest updates or sign up to receive city extra emails or text messages. Thank you for watching this episode of Agenda Edina. I'm your host, Dorothea Marty.